I am not seeing it on here at the moment. Oh, wait a minute. It's connecting now.
There you go.
Should be able to. Aha! There we go.
So we're live on YouTube and on Facebook.
Fantastic.
Let's
Hopefully
see.
everybody's out there.
I
Sorry for my horrible audio. Like up front, everybody. It is like
we've
been
got ghosts in the
insane.
machine.
It's been insane for the last few minutes, so you guys are just gonna have to put up with this, and we'll have it fixed for next round. But it's good to see everybody. Welcome to Supernatural Circumstances, Unexplained and Uncensored. We are really, really glad to be here and have everybody. And
Sure. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, it's kind of bonkers right now. What's going on? I'm just trying to figure out if we're actually live or are we not. I don't know. You have to browse to Facebook to find out. I'll go to YouTube.
We're definitely there. YouTube. I have no idea. Yes, we are live on YouTube, so it says.
There you go.
Yeah, so it says. So there we go. So we made it.
We made it. We did it. We did it. Yay.
We did it.
Oh my gosh, Morgan. Oh. So my book is done. It's round of big edits, and it's off to the editor and off to the legal team at HarperCollins so they can have a look to see that I didn't slander anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't think I said a mean word about anybody in that book because it's not true crime, so I don't have to be judgy. You know,
this is true.
I talked a little bit about debunkers. My cat Egg is just screaming outside my door, so everybody's going to have to listen to that turd. Egg. Oh, see, when I say something, he's like,
Oh.
But the minute I start talking and I'm not talking to him,
then there's a problem. Well, I had to boot Galen off my lap a couple of seconds ago.
Well, at least he doesn't meow. Snakes don't meow.
The snakes don't meow. He is officially passed out on my on my bed right now, so he's good. So I am ready for some great questions. Hopefully, everybody that's listening, hope you guys brought some questions. We definitely got some questions via email that we'll be talking about tonight, which is really great. Mike, I sent them to you in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really cool. Tell everybody, first of all, the title and about the new book, because it's coming out like pretty quick.
I don't want to tell anybody that stuff. I don't want to tell people that stuff.
You got to tell people that stuff. People want your book.
No, they don't. I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do want my book because, of course they do. People are pre-ordering my book. Like, it's going like hotcakes. It's amazing right now. My book is called, one second. Because I've got like a whatchamacallit. It's strange, spooky, and supernatural. Anyway, so the reason that I have to check is because I haven't said it enough times that it's in my brain what the title of my bloody book is. So when I released Murder, Madness, and Mayhem, which was also, another book with MMM, I had to look a few times before I got it. Even though I'm the dude who wrote it and I'm the dude who came up with that idea, I'm so dumb. What it is actually, just to pull the curtain back a little bit, I'm mildly dyslexic. So when things are in certain orders, I have to be able to see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I cannot make it go in my brain in the right order.
No, I get that though, because I know with me, if I have to repeat something too much, like I don't have dyslexia, but I've got dyscalculia, which is the same thing, but with numbers and directions and maps and stuff.
I have those problems too.
Oh yeah, but it's interesting that you say that, because I have the same thing. Like if I'm filming a show, and they're like, and I'll give them an answer, and then they'll be like, "Okay, can you repeat that answer, but like in a different way?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no,
like,
no.
Nope, I cannot.
That's the answer you got, and that's what you're getting. Because if I repeat it too much, it's gone out of my head. So I completely relate to that.
Like even like I trained
Mhm.
improv and like all that kind of stuff. I can do that. I can do stuff on the fly. But if it's something specific, I need to make sure that it's there. I was
Yeah,
telling Matthew on our after show, we did the Dark Poutine after show just before this, and I was telling him how the reason I'm not an actor, the reason that I failed as an actor was because, oh my God, remembering
yeah,
lines, I was just like, I was so worried about not remembering my
yeah,
lines because of the way things get jumbled up in this pumpkin of mine.
right.
That, you know, my whole acting performance is me like this, trying to remember my lines. So, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a few things where I didn't have a lot of lines, so it was good. But other than that,
Yeah.
why
But we've
does
had,
Mike look so terrified? It's a happy story. Yes. I'm so happy to be here. Happy
yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Oh
I'm so happy
boy.
to be here. Tell your face.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Oh my. So this kind of stuff I'm good with. But
But I mean, we've had some amazing episodes this month. First of all, like
mhm.
we've had some really amazing episodes, and April is getting so good, and I'm really well. This upcoming episode is going to be with Jason Hewlett, who we were talking about Ogopogo,
Mhm.
and which is really really cool. And then our last one here was with Eric Mintel, and we were talking about Dogman and stuff like that. But I really love how we've been the conversations have really been driven towards the idea of our own consciousness interacting with this stuff. Like it's really 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 cool. And
Mhm.
like we got an email. I'm just gonna grab the email here because it was so good, and I wanted to like share a little bit about it. It was actually from, hang on, go to the right email account here. Here we go. After we did that episode uh, with Travis about quantum. Well, no, Ron Moorhead with Quantum Bigfoot.
Mhm.
It was after that episode, and we got an amazing email from Christine, who actually thinks she had some sort of an encounter near Wild Horse Lake Provincial Recreation Center, which is like really close to Jasper.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, and she had this really interesting experience where she kind of walked outside and she felt this like overwhelming sensation that something was there
Mhm.
and something was watching her, and that she was really like just overwhelmed by this almost fear sensation. The same thing that Ron Moore had talked about in when he was in Portlock and in other places with Bigfoot and stuff like that around the world. And it's really really interesting. So she was wondering, what that might be, first of all, and that the whole episode with Ron Moore had really resonated with her. She thought it was really interesting, and so she was wondering what our thoughts were about that and that
Oh
vibe.
God.
Yeah, and it's like it's so yeah, and I briefly emailed her back and whatnot, and I just said like people tend to ignore that level of intuition. And I really, really think that intuition, whether it was like Bigfoot or a mountain lion or a bear or, whatever, I think we ignore that intuition terribly. And we usually don't, humans are like the only ones that ignore that sense of, okay, oh my God, something's there. Like
Right.
we really are the only ones that ignore that. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my God. You're asking me my thoughts while I'm trying to make sure that we're streaming.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll stop asking you questions then.
Yes. Don't ask me that question right
I won't.
now. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that we're streaming because I cannot see that we are
Well, it says we are on the YouTube page.
on the Supernatural Circumstances YouTube page.
On YouTube, yeah.
Okay, well there you go. I guess we
It
are.
says
Oh, it looks like we are live.
we are live,
That's good. I'm glad.
you know?
I'm just waiting for the chat to pop up, but I don't see that either. So
Well, we'll get it. Any questions that we don't see, we can get in the next episode, which is
yeah.
really good. But there's a couple of really, really, really great questions that we got. I'm going to, oh, you're going to have to read them. They're in our, because I can't leave Facebook here, but in our Facebook thread,
Mm-hmm.
that you and I have, there's some really interesting questions. And one of the questions that we got, which I thought was really cool, was, what do you think about kids getting involved in this subject matter? And I thought that was a really interesting.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
I know, it's really good. Are you like, is your brain free enough to
So
throw some thoughts out there?
what about kids getting involved in this? I think um there needs to be a little bit of education before children get involved, because you think about it, like we're still forming our consciousness when we're kids.
Yeah.
Don't have like a fully functioning brain yet. So I think it's a really good thing to start to learn when you're younger, but I really believe you need a good guide, because I have a funny feeling you could tend to even travel down the road into psychosis if you're not careful. So yeah, I would say get kids involved with the proviso. You need to make sure that you are talking to them about it, what the expectations are around it, because, we want to make sure that everybody is mentally well around this stuff, because it's not
Right.
something that, Ghost or Weird says, I don't know either. So, but whatever.
Yeah, age appropriate material, I think, is one
Sure.
of the biggest things. Like for me, it's age appropriateness. Like, you can have a conversation with a kid almost about anything at any age, depending, as long as you've got something that's age appropriate. I always like the old adage is, don't make kids deal with adult issues.
Mhm.
So I think that applies to this, but at the same time, the caveat to that, I think, is at the same time is we have a lot to learn from that age group where they are not encumbered by
Yeah.
like busy thoughts and disbelief and all of that kind of a thing. So I think it's sort of twofold, like where we have to pay attention and we have to learn. But I think if you're, yeah, introducing this is a really age appropriate thing. I also think that how we introduce
Yeah.
this to the younger generation is so bloody important. Instead of,
Mhm.
sitting them down to some, terrifying thing or terrifying movie, like start talking and having that conversation about consciousness and inner being and connecting with who you are. I always
There's got to
remember,
be some primers out there that are really good to sort of start, you know, having this
yeah,
conversation with somebody who's a little younger.
yeah. And I feel too like the great thing about this subject, which I really, really love, because it's all about connecting back to our inner state and
Mhm.
like how we are feeling and who we are. I think that technique in and of itself, or even around whether it be around the paranormal or not, is so valuable for kids, because it even applies to like, you know, somebody coming up to them and making them feel uncomfortable, right? When you're in touch with who you are, right?
Mhm.
Really, really fast. It's like, wait a minute, no, this isn't good. Like something's off,
Well,
and you're less likely to be pulled off.
when I had the thing that happened to me when I was 11,
Mhm.
um, I was walking down the street, and it was late at night, blah blah blah. Safe little town that I had walked down that street 100 times before, probably at that same time of night. Nothing ever happened to me. I was 11, and it was about 2 kilometers I had to walk straight down a street from essentially one end of town to the other where my parents lived. And halfway there, I looked up the road and I saw this person coming toward me, probably 200 meters away, maybe even 100, maybe a little closer. But something in my brain said that is a dangerous person. I had that feeling. And so I just kept walking. And I looked behind me, and that person turned down the street and was walking behind me. I started walking faster. That person started walking faster. So it was like that little intuition, that little voice of intuition, essentially long story short, the person tried to abduct me and do nefarious things to me. Police were involved, blah, blah, blah. The guy got away. Anyway, but I had that little nudge from the universe or whatever it was, or maybe it's my, instinct. I don't even know what it was, but I did have it. I knew that was not a good person. I even went to the point at one point when we're walking, I stopped, tied my shoe to let that person pass me so I could have him in front of me so I could see what was going on. What happened? He turns down another road, and then starts to come back and says, "What time is it?" And that's when all the bad stuff happened. But, the whole time there was something in me, that intuitive thing in me that knew something horrible was going on. Something was not right with this person's intention toward me in that situation. And I've had that a few times. I've learned to trust that thing. I mean, I was right then, I was right then, but what am I going to do as a child? I look back, I probably could have gone and knocked on a door. I walked by a lot of houses. I could have gone and knocked on a door because that's eventually what I had to do anyway. But, you're 11. You're not, that's hindsight's 2020. And when something happens to you, when you're horrible, when you're young, something horrible happens to you, you blame yourself and you look, well, what could I have done better? But whatever. But it was that thing. So as a child, you are more in tune with stuff. I really believe that. Stuff is going on. And it's not necessarily like, ooh, I'm afraid that there's a monster under the bed. This was an actual monster. This was an actual monster. I did have problems in the dark and those kind of things with different things within myself as I was a kid, but and that's the thing. So you need a guide, somebody to help you to determine what is real, what may be a real thing, what is an actual, what this feeling that you're having, or are you just freaking yourself out and thinking that the house is haunted? You know what I mean? Like, is it you, or is there something there? Or is it both?
There something there? Yeah.
Or is it both?
Or is it both? And I've had cases, I'll tell you, I've had cases where it's been both.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a case that I investigated, boy, this was probably, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, in a community just outside of Edmonton. And it was so interesting because the lady who was reporting the situation did have activity going on in the house. Like, there was weird things happening, except part of the other aspect of this case, it was sort of multi-dimensional, but she also had an old telecom system in her basement, and it was old. And this thing it had cables and stuff. It was supposed to be defunct. It wasn't defunct, but it had cables running all over the house. And as soon as we started to take readings of the electromagnetics in the house, they were through the roof, because this thing, it was so dated, it was so old, and of course, the older the wiring is, the worse the electromagnetics get with some of this stuff. And it was really through the roof. And her ceilings, especially in the basement where a lot of this stuff was happening, were really, really low. They're really close to her head. So she was really in close proximity to these really high levels of electromagnetics. So she was getting the sort of the residual of this, because, and for people listening, if you don't know too much about electromagnetic fields, it's not what you see on television. One of the reasons that we check for those is because it can mimic the symptoms of haunting. So, for example, that feeling of being watched, that feeling of oppression, seeing shadows out of the corner of your eye, it can start to affect that. Nightmares, headaches. You can start to, your brain starts to react to these electromagnetics. So that's why we look for electromagnetics as investigators. It has nothing to do with ghosts at all. And what was really interesting was that these levels for her, they were so high in her house that our meter couldn't even read them. It just
Oh, weird.
pegged and died. Yeah, it was so bad. So once she called, it was one of the companies here or whatever, came and they took it out and they got it removed. A lot of what she was experiencing like died right off.
Hmm.
But the intuition that she had that there was something going on in her home was right. She had stuff actually going on, but it was intermingled with all these environmental factors.
That's
So
really strange.
super weird, but it happens a lot. And especially here, we've got a lot of electromagnetic issues here in Alberta, like a lot of old wiring that's never been updated and whatever. So it's one of the things we check for right away. But it was super interesting. So you can kind of see how some of this stuff ends up conflated, but it can mess with that intuition. Like when you think, well, wait a minute, I'm feeling this heavy feeling. Yes, you are, but it might not be what you think it is. So again, it comes back to what you were saying with being
Yeah,
able to critically think through this stuff. It might be
exactly.
something you don't expect.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Just because you feel something, it's like uh, I'm in a lot of subreddits about UFOs and aliens and all that kind of stuff. I don't necessarily believe that it's aliens, but there are groups of people who say, well, if I saw that, it's an alien. Well, is it though?
Yeah.
That's the question. That's like that to me is not very. If you're sure that you are seeing an alien, in a it's an unidentified flying object. We're calling it, or a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, whatever the
Yes.
heck the name of it is today. Um, yeah, you're seeing something unidentified. You're seeing something strange, but that's when we run into trouble. Is when we say it is this. How do you know? How do you know it's that for sure? Because we're a creative species that will what's the name, what's the word, I just learned it the other day, you guys taught it to me. You hear certain, it's like if you hear static
Yep.
on the
Oh, like
radio,
almost like pareidolia.
that's it, that's the
Yes.
word. So you will put onto it what you think it is, it's like what your brain is geared to try to attempt to
Yeah.
put onto something the most
Yeah.
likely thing that you, from years of experience, think that it might be. So it's like that whole story about the indigenous people in North America not being able to see the ships on the horizon because they had never seen anything this fantastic before. So they couldn't see that they were there because that was like too much for their brains to figure out. They had never seen these tall ships with all these sails and people wearing crazy clothing that they had never, like, no, I can't see that.
Yeah.
So there's that too. And maybe that's like a psychological safety net or something like that we have. Nothing
Yeah.
can be unexplained. People hate a question. We just talked to somebody about that, how having a question, having something unanswered and unknown is so scary for some people. It is really, really scary for some people.
Totally is. And you know what, I think just bringing it back to the thing with kids is that that can be what happens,
Mhm.
with
It
kids,
did for
right?
me.
Where
It did for
yeah,
me.
totally. And we do tend to fill those gaps in, and then there's a balance, I think, with children as well, where it's like, sometimes we think they're filling in those gaps when really they're, describing something accurate that we just don't have the comprehension to understand.
Yeah.
And that adds sort of another layer to the whole question. There's been so many studies over the years, especially with things like reincarnation and stuff like that, where some of the most credible evidence for the idea of survival after death is children's reports and encounters. Dr. Ian Stevenson, who's probably one of the most renowned in the area of reincarnation, especially with children. I mean, his work is phenomenal, and it becomes rather undeniable when, they start coming forward with things that they shouldn't know, and you can't really explain. You can track it back to a specific person that they've never known, or finding locations that they should never know or haven't been to. And so it's such a tricky thing with kids. But like you were saying, I think it's all the more reason to make sure you've got somebody that can help navigate.
Hmm.
If you don't have the experiences to help navigate this stuff, and to
Another
make
set of
sure,
eyes is always something that,
another set of eyes, and to make sure that, I think, you're always, it's always about looking inwards.
mhm,
I think with children, it's all about teaching them to look inwards and to have that, like, listen to that inner voice, because they already have it.
right.
They already have it. We're the adults are the ones that are like, that's silly, or, don't listen to that, or, just, stay busy and drown all that out. I think if we can nurture that within kids as they grow up,
Hmm.
and they can get in touch with that emotional guidance system, like you had, where they know, wait a minute, something's off, and they're not excusing it in their minds.
Right.
You know, um,
Because that's what I was
I mean, what
struggling
again?
with in those moments. Like, am I
Yeah,
crazy? Is it like what's happening here? Um,
yeah.
I've
And
come
I
to
mean,
trust that, but yeah,
yeah, 'cause, like, what a gift for a kid to have that, like fine-tuned and hardcore, where they can just walk down. Like, if you had have had that completely fine-tuned, you could have been like, hey, wait a minute, this is like a really bad situation.
yeah,
You catch it faster, and you're not doubting yourself.
exactly.
That connection to your inner being. I mean, there's been cases, and even just incidents through my life where, I'll have a conversation with somebody or whatever, and I know, and it's such a strange thing to say, I know, but I do, that something is really, really, really off about it. Like, and
Mhm.
and I might not have anything to point to. I can't turn around and say, okay, wait a minute, that, he said that thing. And I'll tell you a story about this. This is really wild. So
Hmm.
when Steph, my business partner of 17 years,
I wish I'd
Stephanie,
met her. I wish I
you would have
really.
absolutely you would have absolutely loved her. She's just phenomenal. And she had this crazy incident go on with her family, and it was horrible. It turned into this great big feud, basically, before
Mhm.
she had passed away. But I remember telling her the night before, there was a huge fight that happened in regards to this feud, and I remember telling her the night before, um, she was supposed to go meet some of these people, and with her fiance, and I had this, like, extreme intuition. Like, it wasn't even a guess. It was like, do not do this.
Yeah.
There's going to be violence here. Like, do not go to this thing. And I called her and I told her, and I said, dude, I'm telling you, stay home, lock your doors. Don't meet up with these people. Just don't do it. And she was like, she thought I was a little crazy, I think, because it made no sense. Like, I had no bearing for this. And I
Mhm.
said, I
But
don't
you're
know.
but you're her friend, and you're going to say that even if it
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, but I told her, I said, look, I said, you cannot go meet these people. I said, this is not going to end well.
Mhm.
And she was like, no, 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 we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Anyway, next day I get a call from her, and she was like, oh my God, you were absolutely right. We ended up having to call the police. I just filed a police report. These people came into my house, and they broke into my house. And
Oh no.
it was this insane thing. And
Wow.
she's like, how the hell did you know that? And I said, I don't know. I said, it was
Just had
just
a
like,
feeling.
it was just there. And it was even more than a feeling. It was like it had already happened. And I was trying to explain to her what had already happened. And now I know that that's clear cognizance. That's what that is.
I've had
Um,
premonitory stuff
yeah,
happen too, um, and it's usually around a big event like that. Like it for me, it was
yeah.
another violent event. I had this horrible dream that like was recurring over a couple of nights about this person, uh, like beating me up
Wow.
really badly, and uh, I was just like, I'm having this dumb dream, you know. Two
Yeah.
weeks later, it happened. It happened. And so it was very strange as it was starting to occur. Like it didn't happen in the same place, but the emotional content of it was all exactly the same as the dream that I'd had. All exactly, 100% exactly.
Wow.
The only thing different was the place.
Yeah.
And as it was happening, my brain just kind of shut down in a weird way, and I was watching it happen. I dissociated,
Wow.
essentially, knowing that this was happening, and it wasn't as I was badly hurt physically, but for some reason I was able to weather it because I had known it was gonna happen in a
Yeah.
weird way. It was like it was very, very strange. Very
Yeah.
strange situation, but yeah, I
But
mean
I don't think uncommon, and I mean, we kind of think about this stuff as uncommon, but I don't think it is. I think the more we again tap into that, the and that knowing, I mean, I think the universe is just having a conversation with us constantly,
mhm.
and it's like, how in tune are we? And I one of the most profound things that I heard, it was the last time this when I was talking with uh, Nancy Zingroni. I think it was the last time I spoke with her. We were talking about the idea that this was not a situation where, occasionally you have a dream or occasionally you experience this supernatural thing, but it's whenever we happen to be in tune with the conversation to hear it.
Mhm.
And it's like it's us that are tuning out. It's not that the conversation is, or the phenomenon has stopped. It's just that we have been removed and emotionally removed from that situation in the moment, and now we can't hear it or see it or touch it or taste it anymore. And I thought that was so profound, that connection is just constantly there, and it's always about how tuned in are we to this. Can
I
if
that
that's
is
it.
you're speaking you're preaching to the choir here. Like that is exactly what my whole deal is about tuning into that. Some religious people will call it the still small voice. That thing that is guiding my life, because I do believe I have something. I don't know what it is, the universe, whatever you want to call it, angels, whatever.
Yep.
Could be the devil. I don't know what it is. It hasn't steered me wrong yet. I'm still alive. I still have a roof over my head. I get to do some pretty cool things with my life, um, because I've learned to trust that and learn to discern a little bit. And like I say, I have people that I bounce my ideas off. I don't. You're one of them. I don't just sort of barge forth and say, "Well, I think it's a good idea for me to quit my job and move to Afghanistan." You know, if I said that, if I had that sort of what I thought to be direction, I would bounce that off people and say,
Yeah.
"Hey," because I am still a human being and I'm still going to have human responses to things. I don't have a pure spiritual connection. I just don't. I don't
Yeah.
think I do, and I don't know if I ever will. I can fine tune that. I can
Yeah.
hone it to feel more connected and that kind of stuff, but I don't think I'm ever going to be purely, connected, because then I will be walking across the water and healing blind people and doing all that kind of stuff. That ain't going to happen to this dude. I'm pretty sure if that was going to happen, it would have happened before I turned 55. So, you know, uh,
Well, it's as far, I don't know if anybody can be at that point, honestly, because I think we also have to be able to translate our physical world. I mean, we're built for that as well. We
mhm,
have to be able to translate our physical world.
mhm.
And I think part of the problem is that we get so wrapped up in translating our physical world. That's when we lose the connection, because we're really
We
good at
start
it.
to think that the physical is the only real.
Yeah, or is
We get,
real at all, you
mm,
know?
mhm.
Yeah, we start to sort of conflate
Well, it is,
things,
but
and
it isn't. It is,
it
but
is,
it
but it
isn't.
isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
okay, it's not real. I'm going to hold my breath. Yeah. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to turn purple and I'll faint, or I'll go and have to
yeah,
take another breath, because, yes, I have to live in this physical world.
yeah, yeah, and I think we really just, it's making a decision about, which reality is the most important reality. Is it this little swirling reality we have over here, or is it the big swirling vortex of a reality that we have in non-physical?
I love
And
vortexes.
right. And
Yeah.
I think that non-physical source is the larger part of us. I think it's the larger reality. And speaking of which, we should tell everybody about the speaking of vortexes and realities and experiencing other realities. April 29th, Dr. Evan Alexander will be on Supernatural Circumstances.
He's amazing. He actually, part of that interview has made it into my book.
Yes.
Which is it's the last chapter of my book. So the last chapter of my book, I'm talking about near-death experiences. Are they or are they not proof that there's an afterlife? So I don't know. I don't know. I wish I knew. I don't want to have to keel over and have somebody, shock me back to life to find out that, that is a real experience. I believe Dr. Alexander's experience. I believe he's telling us the truth about what he experienced. But I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what it is. To him, it is proof of heaven, as he says in as the title of his book. But is it? Is it though? I'm so careful about that. Like, I don't want to join a cult. I don't want to join any cults. I don't want Jim Jones to tell me this is the way and look at this. I just healed this lady that I really didn't heal. But I don't want to join a cult because cults always end badly. they just do.
Why is that? I don't understand. I don't know.
Well, there's one dude at the top. That's typically what the problem is. And that dude is a human being.
That is the problem.
That dude is a human being who will become corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Every single time. If somebody is given enough power, they will abuse it. The end.
Yeah.
The end. Yeah. That's just who we are as humans. If I was a billionaire, I would probably not be a good guy. I don't know. Because I don't have to worry about the things that you got to worry about. Well, so what kind of person would you be?
Well, I think that comes back to exactly what we were talking about, which is how connected with your inner being are you, and how willing are you to be disconnected from that? I think that's the difference between people that get into, say, for example, like the entertainment world and whatnot, and then they end up going from a really, really nice person to all of a sudden being a narcissistic, arrogant, son of a bitch. But I think but
having
not
worked in that
does.
industry, I can tell you that does happen. Typically, when people are up here, the people who I've met who are really high up, who are at the peak, even still sort of B peak, very nice. But it's the people coming up and the people going down are typically not. I've had issues with.
Yep.
And they're the people who either want all the power, or the people who have lost the power turn into not so nice folks, which is interesting.
And it's a disconnection, I think, and it's that, allowing of the egoic personality to really take over. And I think, I've had friends for, oh my gosh, some friends I've had for 30 plus years and whatever. And all of them have said to me, and maybe they're completely lying to me, I don't know, but they said, you really haven't changed any. You're exactly the same as you were before. And, I like to think that it's because I do my best to stay grounded with my connection to all that is source energy, and whatever. And remembering that, like, this is a co-creation, and that these other energies around me are co-creating with me. And I think that really is the key with anything like that, is as soon as you start to become disconnected from that, then you start to be kind of nasty to people, and you start to put people down, and all of a sudden you're the center of the universe, and and whatever. But I think when you can maintain that inner connection, like Eben Alexander talks about, is, and remembering who you are at the core of everything, then that really does make a big difference in how you see what is being given to you.
Mhm.
Because I firmly believe, like, everything that I've had with the success that I've had with Entity Seeker, and all the projects that I've done, I believe that is given, entrusted to me. I think that's entrusted, and I think if I
I'm the same way.
fail to honor that, it's
Mhm.
gone. Like, it's going to be gone. And and I think it's something that's entrusted. How are you going to treat what you have been entrusted with? And and part of that is maintaining your connection, and
I've
understanding your own power, but being humble at the same time, I think.
I've got a phone call tomorrow with producers for a TV program, and I don't know what it's about, but
Yes.
it's like that is how every bit of my success has come to me with Dark Poutine, with Supernatural Circumstances, with my book. I
Yeah.
did not go out seeking to be successful, and I just wanted to do. I just wanted to
Yeah.
do these things. I like doing Supernatural Circumstances, so I do it. I like
Yeah.
doing Dark Poutine, so I do it. Um, it's interesting. I used to approach my doing things with, I want to make money. But
Yeah.
funnily enough, my want to make money made money run away from me because all I
Yeah.
did was want. And so, like, I know it's like people are going to say, oh, here we go. But no, wanting it so badly only feeds more want, you know?
Yeah.
So I just do, and things come to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah.
talked to, there's a friend of mine who he loves to do creative stuff too. And I say, why don't you do more? Well, I'll never be successful at it. And I'll never, there's the business is controlled by XYZ faction of people and blah, 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 blah. Well, then, okay. So you're never going to do it.
Yeah.
It's like these limiting beliefs are excuses for not moving forward with our lives. So, it's like I said, like, months before it happened, I said, man, wouldn't it be great if a big bag of money fell out of the sky and I could do Dark Poutine full time? And I just, like, that's all I did was think, well, that would have been cool. I thought that would be such a cool thing. And I kept doing Dark Poutine. I
Wow.
didn't like chase that. I just kept doing Dark Poutine, and amazingly enough, I was offered a big bag of money to go away from the job that I was doing, and that's what I invested into Dark Poutine.
Yeah.
That's how that stuff happens for me.
Yeah.
It's so
And that's
weird.
been exactly the same with me with Entity Seeker as well. When Steph and I started, we just wanted to, we were looking to explore what this meant for us.
Hmm.
And but that was the fuel, was what does this have to do with us, with our own connection? What is this? And the more we got going, and I think the more we just had good intentions to explore this phenomenon without bias, without um uh just like set expectations. We weren't looking to make money from it,
Hmm.
and stuff just started opening up, and it was like people were coming to us. We weren't going to people were coming to us.
Hmm.
And it was really, really phenomenal. And I mean, and we spent like probably about 8 years before Entity Seeker even happened, just studying and reading. I mean, that was our entire existence for a very, very long time before we ever even thought about Entity Seeker in 2003. But it was so interesting how it was just the more attention that we plugged into it with the intention we had, um and wanting to be of service. That was the other part of it, was that Entity
That's
Seeker
the
was to be of
key.
service.
That's the
That
key.
was the that was the key for us as well. And it was like, how can we be of service to source, to other people, whatever. And it was like this, we got flooded with flooded with resources. And then it was like 2006 that we got the call from
Mm-hmm.
Discovery Channel, and then we ended up doing our first show on Discovery Network in 2006. But it was really, really crazy, because the more we did, the more the universe just brought to our door, and it continues to do that. I mean, what we do is just another aspect of
Mm-hmm.
the blessings that have just come in the door to do this. How do we expand it? And the universe is like, hey, no problem, here's how you can expand it. Here's some more people, here's the next person, talk to this person. It's amazing. And it's like it really does all come back to that whole intention thing. Keeping yourself open, as Dr. Alexander talks about. I can't wait for everybody to hear this interview on the 29th, because I swear everybody is going to get so much out of that interview.
Yeah.
It's so important, especially for people that are having trouble finding that ability to kind of ground themselves and come back to center.
And we're gonna have him back. We're gonna have him back again.
And we're gonna have him back. And
Yeah.
we're going to have him back. Yes.
Yeah,
we
he
are.
liked us so much. He wants to come back, which is awesome. Like,
Oh, so
that
great.
dude talked to Oprah. I was telling
Yeah.
my mom that. And she's like, "Oh dear."
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a fantastic conversation. People can actually watch
Mhm.
him on Super Soul Sunday on Oprah.
Mhm.
And another, fantastic conversation. And what I love about what we talked about with him is that it's so relevant for the turmoil that is going on in the world now. If for the people that are trying to kind of find their way in the external muck of what's going on, this is the conversation for them, because it is all about how you can come back to that spiritual sanity, that I think is so easy to get lost when things are just looking so upsetting.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny when I think I'm at my darkest place. When I've been in a few dark corners in my life, a few very, very dark corners. And some recently, well, relatively recently in the past few years. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, what's my life going to look like with these changes happening?" Well, guess what it looks like? It looks way better. It looks way better than it did before. Things have changed in a way that I wasn't expecting them to change. I just had to be willing to put one foot in front of the other. And that's essentially what it is. It's like, uh I hate to use like cliches, but trust your higher power, clean house, and help others. That's what some very wise people have told me many, many, many times. And by clean house, I mean, if you make a mistake, fix it. Fix
do your
it.
own work.
Yeah,
Do your own work.
exactly. Yeah, I can't fix your stuff. It's that whole idea, like, if you've got a problem, yeah, it's 100% yours to fix. It's not mine. And boy, is that a relief. Is that a relief when like the guy who's like driving sort of drunk or slow in front of you, that's not your problem. Your problem is, okay, I'm going to back off a little bit and let this person do their thing. If they're drunk, I'll probably call the cops. But, like, that's all I can do. It's not up to me to like drive after them and shake my fist and tell them that they need to do blah, blah, blah. Boy, is that ever a hard way to live.
It's a really, really hard way.
Yeah. Another smart thing that some of my friends have told me is, Mike, which would you rather be today? You can only be one of these two things. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?
Absolutely.
I think I'll choose happy today because I'm not right a lot. And then being able to admit that to yourself when you're an egotist like I have been in my life, like, oh, what a relief. I was wrong about all that stuff. What a relief.
Well, and I think it is really, really important. I mean, we see that so much, especially online, where people, I see it in the paranormal groups, I see it just on Facebook feeds and whatever of, people writing these page-long, I'm going to correct and get you for, this comment you made, and the paragraph looks like this, and they've taken the last 4 hours to write this paragraph. And it's like, it just at the end of the day, like you say, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Which are you going to do? And your answer is dependent, I think, on, how important is your connection to yourself, right? Like, because you finding some semblance of fulfillment, if that's not a priority on your list, it needs to be a priority, right? Like, if you're willing to sacrifice your joy for something that is going to destroy your day, then that's not self-loving, right? Like, if people say,
No.
well, that person's being selfish. No, they're being selfless. It is selfless to start, engaging in that level of torment and turmoil. If you want to be selfish, self-full, then start putting yourself into a priority list. Make your happiness and your joy a priority, because when you're there, you can then go back and start to uplift people from a very powerful vantage point, and you're not going to do it from,
I don't want to.
yeah. And then there's just people like you, and then it's just hopeless.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Yeah.
but you do, people think that their power is in their anger and their typing and their frustration, and it's
No,
not.
what the minute I become angry, I've lost. I know that now.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm
Yeah.
angry, I have lost. I have lost 100% lost.
Yeah.
Lost. I am
Yeah,
gone.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
might
like
as
that
well
even,
throw in the towel.
it's like that even in cases, for years, I taught in the post-secondary system in parapsychology and stuff like that here in Alberta. And it was always so interesting to me, because the people that we would get coming to the classroom, it was a psychology, social work classes, and the people that we would get were always coming to looking to fix the other people in accordance with their ideology. It was like, well, if I can get this family to do these things, then they'll be
How about
happy. Or like,
you fix this? I fix
yes,
this. I need to fix this.
yeah,
I need to
exactly.
continually work on fixing this right here. And
Yeah,
as
and
long as I'm doing
yeah.
that, the rest of the world will probably be pretty okay with that, because then I'm not being a dink. I'm
Well,
just
not only that, but it also begins to correct what you're attracting, right?
hmm
So, all the time, get people asking me about their haunted house and stuff like that, and they're like, well, I don't understand what's going on. My whole house is in chaos. The spirit's causing me chaos, and this is all I don't know what to do, and whatever. And every single time, it traces back to their own state of being. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. They don't want to hear it. They want the fix of somebody coming in and waving a magic wand and doing a dance and it
Well, I
all
wouldn't mind
disappearing.
that. I wouldn't mind that.
You know,
Somebody come and
but
wave a wand that ends up in another big bag of money for me, so I can buy a big friggin'
exactly,
house in Costa Rica and have monkeys
absolutely.
come and steal my fruit.
But they do, they kind of expect this grand fix that's external, and it's never external, especially when it comes to the
Mhm.
paranormal stuff. It's never ever external. And it's like, it comes back to what you were saying, which is you have to clean up your own house. And once you do that, and you can see that what's going on outside of you, especially in a haunting, is reflective of your own inner state, then all of a sudden things start to make a lot more sense. You clean up that inner state and the haunting starts to look a lot different. And that, hence my first book, Teaching the Living, which is why I wrote it. So it's really a profound realization when you realize that it's like, wait a minute, where I'm at and where my state of being is absolutely, swinging the compass of my life. It's really amazing.
Yep. I could be a negative Nancy and just be like, my life sucks. And it probably will. My life will fit itself to what my attitude about it is.
We live to our labels. We live
It
to our labels.
I feel like, I wanted success my whole life. I wanted it, but something internal was preventing it. And it was all this garbage that I was dragging around with me that I needed to shed. Like, I had to go make amends to a lot of people and do a lot of stuff, a lot of inner work look at me and look at how I've been to people in my life. There's still a few people that I would love to run into, so I could say, hey, let's have a conversation about the way things used to be. And let's
Yeah.
have a conversation about the way things are now and why I feel like I would love to tell you that, I was wrong.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending thing. It's a never-ending thing. Like house cleaning, it's like trying to sweep up after these damn cats. There's, they are shedding all the time, and there's little dust bunnies everywhere, little kitty fur dust bunnies everywhere. And I think I've got it all taken care of, and I turn my back, look around the other way. Oh, more dust bunnies where I've just swept. That's kind of a really good analogy for life. Why did that happen? I've got like a big thumb, and I didn't know that would do. Yeah, now it won't do it. But anyway.
Well, this was awesome, and
yes.
I thank you guys, everybody, for coming tonight and and hanging out with us. It was really cool. I hope some questions got answered, and that was a lot of fun and whatnot. We'll be back next month doing the same thing.
Yes, we will, and hopefully we'll figure out your modem so we can actually have you on your computer and all that kind of stuff.
I think it's time to get a new one. I think is what it is.
Call up TELUS and say, hello.
Yes.
Things need changing. The times are changing. It's like, I think the gerbil died in your modem. I think that's what's happened. The little gerbil is laying in there.
Yeah, it's over for him.
He's just tired.
Maybe Galen ate him, and I didn't notice.
There might be something to that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, everybody, thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys have not downloaded Supernatural Circumstances, please come subscribe to the podcast. It is on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you podcast, you can find us. We're going to be having some, as I say, amazing people coming up here pretty soon, including the amazing researcher Jason Hewlett. We'll be talking about the spirituality behind Ogopogo, which is pretty fascinating. And then on the 29th of April, a very, very special episode with Dr. Eben Alexander. So please, mark that on your calendars. But we've got even more coming up in the next number of months with some amazing guests that we're going to keep talking about. So please subscribe, and we will see you guys, very soon.
Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.